President Trump is deporting illegal aliens, and pop star Selena Gomez wants you to know she is very upset about it.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
The children? Now, as you know, President Trump has focused his deportation efforts on only the most violent, psycho, criminal, illegal aliens in the country. And I don't speak Spanish, and I certainly don't speak pop star, but last I checked, the word children did not include in its definition face-tattooed Mexican gangsters. It must be a language barrier. Maybe I should have pressed one for English. I don't know. I'm Michael Knowles. This is The Michael Knowles Show. Welcome back to the show. New York Magazine has summed up my political vision as if I went to ChatGPT or Grok and said, hey, create an image with my exact political vision. New York Magazine has put that on the cover, though they don't like it. They call it the cruel kids table. And it's a bunch of just good-looking young people wearing tuxedos and nice dresses, sort of sipping on boozy seltzer and having a good time and looking all presentable and being normal and being exuberant. We'll get to all of that in a moment. First, I want to tell you about Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use code Knowles25. Did you know that American homeowners have over $32 trillion in equity? That's a lot of cheese, man. Criminals are targeting that equity with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. How does it work? They don't literally steal your house. The scammers transfer your title out of your name using a one-page document that they file with the county. Then they take out loans against your house or even sell your house behind your back. And the most concerning part is you won't find out until collection or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox, leaving you with a financial and legal nightmare. The best way to protect your equity is with Home Title Lock's exclusive $1 million triple lock protection. This service offers 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if fraud should occur, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title, okay? It's not just that I rely on Home Title Lock. There are a number of people at the DailyWire who rely on Home Title Lock. When's the last time you checked on your home title, okay? Go to HomeTitleLock.com right now. Use my code Knowles25 to save 25%, and you will also get a free title history report to ensure you are not already a victim. This is a case where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but it's worth a ton of cure, I think. Make sure you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Knowles25. Am I crazy about the deportation thing? I could have sworn that the people, President Trump has so far deported, 2,000 people total, I think? They're pretty much all face-tattooed, Satan-worshipping Mexican gangsters and gangsters who came from other Latin American countries who came through Mexico. I didn't see a lot of little children in the mix. Did you? President Trump, could you clear things up for me?
Yeah. Sean, who would ask for open borders with people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble, could be trouble. There are people coming in.
There are people with gang tattoos on.
There are people coming in with tattoos all over their face. Their entire face is covered with tattoos.
That identifies
Typically, you know he's not going to be the head of the local bank.
Love that line. Yeah, when a guy's got tattoos all over his face, probably not going to become the head of the local bank. I love this. Such vivid imagery from Trump, which he's very good at. He has shown us that since 2016 when he branded all of his competitors in the GOP primary with these particular physical descriptions that really stuck, and people made fun of him, but he's good with these. They're very sticky, and it's really important Because what the left wants you to do is when you think about the people being deported, they want you to think about doe-eyed little kids being deported or innocent old grannies trying to make some paella. That is not who's being deported. Full stop. There is an argument to deport anyone who is in this country illegally, but that's not who Trump is deporting. He is deporting So the face tattoo part is really important because it paints an image for people. It means when they hear deportation, they're going to think about this crazy MS-13 guy who like teenagers, okay, and like beheads people. That's what you're going to think of. If the Democrats control the language and control the narrative, you hear deportation, you're going to think of a sweet little doe-eyed 5-year-old dreamer. But that's not it. That image actually does not reflect reality. The image that is evocative, that also reflects reality, is the face tattooed guy. What Trump is demonstrating there is called prejudice. Prejudice, which can be a bad thing, I guess, if it's unjust, but prejudice is not necessarily a bad thing. Prejudice is just a prejudgment. This is a basic conservative insight. We need prejudice. You use prejudice all day long. You don't rationally consider and write 50-page long treatises on every decision you make. You just kind of do it. Why do you reach for the Cheerios instead of the Raisin Bran? I don't know. You just kind of like Cheerios more. It's just a prejudice. You don't think about all the ingredients and the amount of riboflavin and vitamin B and you just do it. You just go on your gut, okay? And your gut is usually right. That's the part the libs don't want to tell you. Your gut is usually right. And stereotypes are all true. Doesn't mean that they apply to every individual within certain categories, but stereotypes are stereotypes because they are generally true. And a guy with a face tattoo and a mean-looking mug who doesn't speak English and has weird gang signs on him, he is not going to be the head of your local bank, and you should probably get him out of your country. Now, the libs are still furious about this. They're calling all of this rhetoric really cruel, all of these policies really cruel. This is upending the American tradition of being welcoming. We're a nation of immigrants. Listen to more of this cruel rhetoric on immigration and deportation from President Trump.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
Oh, wait a second. That wasn't President Trump, was it? Whoopsie daisy. That was President Obama, who unfortunately did not live up to his rhetoric. President Obama's rhetoric was that he was going to be really tough on the border and he's going to deport people. If you're in this country illegally, you're going to get deported. All right? Don't be surprised. This is not extreme stuff. This is what every president, Republican and Democrat's done for 50 years. We have laws in this country. We have a border in this country. You want to fix the border? You have to pass a bill. Now, of course, he didn't live up to that. While he did deport some people, he also gave mass amnesty to a ton of illegal aliens. But listen to that rhetoric. President Trump is just doing what Barack Obama said he would do, and what Bill Clinton said he would do, and what George Bush said he would do, and what the other George Bush said he would do, and what the law says he should do. That's all it is. It ain't extreme. It ain't fascist or whatever. It isn't particularly Republican, isn't particularly Democrat. It's just basic stuff. It's just the law. And everyone knows deep down, if you're thinking rationally about it, everyone knows that's what we need to do. You don't need to tolerate face-tattooed gangsters illegally in your country. Okay, shock, shock. Now, speaking of our national health, I want to get down to our individual health. I want to tell you about Lumen. Go to lumen.me/Knowles and then jumpstart your health in 2025. There's an incredible tool that will give you and me and all of us real-time insight into our metabolism through something as simple as breath. It's called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. I'm not the biggest into fitness or anything. I don't go to the doctor very much. But this is easy. You're not drawing blood. You're not doing a stress test. You're just breathing into this device first thing in the morning, and you know exactly what's going on with your metabolism. whether you're burning fats or carbs. And then based on those measurements, Lumen takes the guesswork out, creates a personalized nutrition plan just for you. You can breathe into it before and after workouts and meals. You know exactly what's going on with your body in real time. This is incredible technology. It's extremely affordable. It's a great way to up your health game for all of your 2025 New Year's resolutions. Your metabolism is your body's engine, powering everything you do. So optimize your metabolic health, and you get improved energy, better fitness results, enhanced sleep quality. Go to lumen.me/Knowles. Get 20% off your Lumen, LUMEN.me/Knowles, KNWLES, for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this show. Speaking of health, and speaking of the return of a little bit of justice in this country, there is some breaking news out yesterday. And this breaking news happens to concern a friend of mine of many, many years. And he is one of the most heroic activists in the country. That would be David Daleiden. David Daleiden, who has been prosecuted by liberals in California, specifically by Kamala Harris, for almost a decade now. And he's been prosecuted because he had the temerity to film Planned Parenthood executives admitting their crimes on camera. David Daleiden, with his group, the Center for Medical Progress, was able to infiltrate Planned Parenthood and different events for abortion mills and get them to admit on camera that they violated the law by selling baby body parts to the highest bidder. So when David exposed this heinous crime on camera, no one could deny it. What happened? Did the authorities prosecute the abortionists who were selling human body parts of little babies? No, of course not. They prosecuted David because he spilled the beans on this major crime. This has been a saga going on almost a decade. As of yesterday, all charges, practically speaking, are being dropped. And we are joined now, maybe for the first interview, I don't know, I mean, this happened last night, with David Daleiden. David, first of all, thank you for being here. Second of all, congratulations.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you. Yes, you're right. This is the first interview that I'm doing since the great news that we got out of a little San Francisco courtroom yesterday afternoon. You did a great job of recapping it for your viewers. For anyone who might not remember, a lot of things happened back in 2015, including the beginning of sort of the Trump era and all these other things. But in 2015, my organization, the Center for Medical Progress, was responsible for the release of the undercover video series that caught Planned Parenthood's top-level abortion leadership callously negotiating the harvesting and sale of aborted baby body parts. The Attorney General of California at that time was Kamala Harris. She had a choice at that time in 2015. She could either investigate the taxpayer-funded abortion mega clinics across her state that were caught on camera selling aborted baby body parts from criminal late-term abortions, or she could go after the whistleblowers who filmed the interviews with Planned Parenthood's leadership. And Kamala Harris decided to go after the whistleblowers. Myself and my colleague, Sandra Merritt, it's been 9 years since Kamala Harris opened up this unprecedented criminal investigation in California under the California video recording law. No undercover journalist has ever been prosecuted under that law until this case that Kamala Harris started 9 years ago. And yesterday it ended. The state of California agreed to drop all the charges in a deal that will result in all the charges being dismissed and the entire case being dismissed and expunged within 6 to 12 months. So we're very happy about that. There's no punishment, no penalties, no admissions of wrongdoing, nothing. I mean, we'll get the transcript probably sometime within the next couple of weeks. The Attorney General's office basically stated on the record in court yesterday that they're dropping the case. They're just doing it in slow motion. So it's kind of a fig leaf for them, but we're very happy with that result. And I think what I want your viewers to know about that is to consider that this is one of the biggest law enforcement offices in the country, other than the Federal Department of Justice. Why did they decide to pursue this completely unprecedented, highly politicized case for almost 10 years? It's because of the content of what is shown on the undercover videos, and it's because of the bigger, darker reality that it points to about the taxpayer-funded abortion industry across our country, that our tax dollars that support the abortion industry, that the entire thing is built on killing and selling babies who are recognizably human, just like you or I.
David, you and I have been friends, I guess, for this whole saga. I think we first met right at the beginning. I had moved out to California, and you were being prosecuted. And I thought, okay, well, this is evil. This is unjust. This is par for the course with our liberal government, but this is going to wrap up soon enough. I mean, how do you go after the guy for blowing the whistle on people admitting to serious crimes? One of the women on camera, while haggling over the price of the baby body parts, said, well, whoever gives the first number loses, and I want to buy a Lamborghini. I mean, a Hollywood scriptwriter could not script such villainous, cartoonishly villainous language. And yet it's dragged on, and you have never, at any stop along the way, had any doubts. At least you've never shown it to me or publicly. You've never seemed to second guess yourself. You had the whole weight of this major government, second largest law enforcement organization in the country, thrown at you. You've never wavered. Did you expect this result?
Well, it was always certainly my hope that that the First Amendment would win out, and that eventually justice would win out in the end. I think most people who are kind of optimistic have that kind of perspective. We're still, the next step. I mean, your viewers are may remember just a couple of days ago on Friday, President Trump signed a very strong executive order that directs that no federal taxpayer funding should be spent on programs or organizations that fund or promote elective abortion. Planned Parenthood is the single biggest promoter of elective abortion in the country. So there's a very clear directive from the president's desk right now that all of the federal agencies need to start divesting the federal government from the criminal late-term abortion industry. So that's the next thing that we should see happen. It's great to be a free man in Southern California, as they say. But the next step is that we need to make sure that we stop propping up the nearly $2 billion taxpayer-funded illegal Planned Parenthood late-term abortion business that is selling baby body parts. They've been caught on camera. We've got FOIA requests out all across the state on them. We're getting unbelievable documentation about the way some of these deals have been structured for years that Kamala Harris and her cronies tried to cover up for years. If you go to our website at www.centerformedicalprogress.org, you'll see some of our latest reporting about a contract to sell, quote, proprietary aborted fetuses that Planned Parenthood has in Southern California with the University of California. So this is how deep the rabbit trail goes. This is the sort of stuff that Kamala Harris and Planned Parenthood for the past almost 10 years have been desperate to keep from coming out to the public. And this is it's just indicative of all of the very good reasons why the federal government needs to get out of the business of subsidizing the abortion industry that kills babies who are just as human as you or I.
I can't help but notice the timing here. We're about 1 week. At 2 weeks after Trump is inaugurated. I'm losing track of time. No, it's only 1 week since Trump is inaugurated that you get this news. How much does the election have to do with this decision? Had Kamala Harris won, the woman who started to prosecute you, would you be a free man today?
Well, I mean, I think it probably changes everything, right? I mean, if if someone is as they say a dirty cop who uses their authority to punish people who they disagree with and to reward their campaign donors, which is what Kamala Harris did as Attorney General, and then you promote that person to the highest position of power in the country. Typically when you reward behavior, you get more of it, and when you punish it, you get less of it, right? So I think I certainly think that has a huge impact on what happened here. There's certainly a lot of factors involved. I'm extremely grateful to my legal defense team over the past 9 years. We were led by Steve Cooley, who was the longtime district attorney of Los Angeles, really an excellent and expert team that he assembled and led in order to get to a result like this. So there's a lot of really good work and a lot of really wonderful support from people all across the country that I've been really thankful to have for the past 9 years. And you can continue to support our work at www.centerformedicalprogress.org. This is some of the best political news. And by the way, this has been a season of great political news. This is some of the best political news I have heard, I guess, in a decade. And I'm going to let you go because I know you've got champagne to pop. And more importantly, you have work to continue doing. But, just as we're celebrating this, as we celebrate the pardon of the pro-lifers who were political prisoners who were jailed by Joe Biden, as we're celebrating the return of justice in America,
It's important to focus not just on the procedural goods that are coming out of this. Okay, good. An innocent guy who blew the whistle on a heinous crime. Now he's not being prosecuted by California anymore. It's also important to focus on the substantive goods, which is, why were you being prosecuted in the first place? Oh, because you blew the whistle on an insane crime that is being perpetrated by Planned Parenthood and by these abortion mills. So as justice returns, and rectifying some of the wrongs of the last 10 years, okay, now it's time to keep going. Now it's time to keep going after the bad guys. So head on over to the Center for Medical Progress website. I look forward to popping some champagne in your honor, albeit from a different part of the country, David. Congratulations, and just incredible work, keeping the faith, having courage to do the investigation in the first place, then to stare down these evil people and say, come on, give me your worst. I'm not backing down. I'm not caving at all. And guess what? In the end, that was all rewarded. You win, and I pray and I hope we're going to keep winning.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, man. Really, really great news. And we're getting more great news, by the way, out of the Washington, because while everyone's focusing on the deportations, while we're all focusing on the justice system, as we've been talking about now for 20 minutes almost, I mentioned on the show yesterday that Trump had this problem, which is, okay, first week, he's deporting a lot of face tattooed, Satan-worshiping criminals. That's great. Love it. But it's not enough. Because even using generous numbers, the first week, Trump deports 1,000 people. Okay, good. What was it? Something like 538 plus hundreds more. Okay, great. Let's say it's 1,000 people. That means 52,000 people a year. That means 208,000 people in the course of his term. You have a conservative estimate of 11 to 16.8 million illegal aliens here. It's a fraction of a fraction. It's what? It's 2% or less. That's not going to get the job done. So you got to ramp up those numbers. Well, we got some good news. On Sunday alone, ICE arrested 1,000 people. So the same number that they arrested in the first week, they arrested on Sunday alone. This is really good. That means if it's 1,000 people per day, that's 365,000 people per year. That's almost 1.5 million people over the course of the term. That's still not enough. They're doing great work. The way that they're increasing these deportations is really, really great and encouraging, but it's got to keep going. Conservatively, 11 to 16.8 million illegal aliens in the country. That means that if you deport 1.5 million over the course of the term, or a little less, you're looking at anywhere from 8.7 to 13% of all the illegal aliens in the country. It's not enough. It's a good start, but it's not enough. I mention this not to rag on Tom Homan or Kristi Noem or President Trump. Certainly not. They're doing a great job. It just shows you the scale of the problem before them. But just looking at how they ramped it up from the first week to the end of the first week, okay, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hopeful about the future, but they're going to have to keep their foot on the accelerator. Now, speaking of really exciting things and hope, and scary things too, all of it bundled into one, I recently sat down on my Michael And series with a man who says that he can see angels and demons just walking around. That would be Blake Healy, the author of the best-selling book, The Veil, who claims to see things in the spiritual world, including angels and demons. Check out this teaser.
I'd see angels and demons in about equal measure. There was this sense of separation. And even though I could identify that's something that might be scary, there wasn't any sense of immediate danger. I looked up, and instead of my mom, I saw this kind of shadow. As soon as I looked at it, it's kind of slunked into the crack, walked around to the edge of my bed. It kind of had these milky white eyes. Its eyes flashed, and I felt this overwhelming sense of fear. Absolute panic was just going through my body. It happened night after night after night for 3.5 years.
You have this question, which is, am I a highly functioning schizophrenic?
They talked to me about this concept that I hadn't heard of before that they called seeing in the spirit. Something in that recipe of expanding the options from either I'm going crazy or the devil's decided to ruin my life to this third option of maybe I have a gift that I just haven't learned how to manage yet.
This is your daily experience.
It is.
Do you see these things now, like right now?
Why we're talking at this very moment.
What do you see?
Right now, I can see your personal angel standing right behind you, just behind your left shoulder.
Do you believe him? Well, only one way to find out. Watch the full episode at the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. Do not forget to subscribe for the ad-free version on DailyWire Plus. So while we're getting very popular deportations of very, very bad people, Adam Schiff, antagonist of President Trump, now senator from California, Adam Schiff is explaining his opposition to the Laken Riley Act.
Look, the administration already has the authority to detain people that have committed violent crimes for deportation, and they should. But this bill is so broad that if you're a dreamer and you take a tube of toothpaste from the store, you can be detained for deportation. That, to me, is a terrible overreach. So the president already has the authority. I don't mind confirming he has the authority, but I don't want to broaden that to be able to deport dreamers for taking a tube of toothpaste.
Taking a tube of toothpaste. Is that what this bill's about? The Laken Riley Act. It's about little dream. First of all, the dreamers are in their mid-40s at this point. The dream, we think they're 5 years old, doe-eyed little. It's about the dreamers taking a tube of toothpaste? No, what? The Laken Riley Act would hurry up deportations for illegal aliens who are caught stealing. Why? Because the illegal alien who murdered Laken Riley, tried to rape her, had previously been arrested for theft. That's why. And he wasn't arrested for stealing a tube of toothpaste either, by the way. I don't think anyone gets arrested for stealing a tube of toothpaste. I don't think any of these people are really interested in stealing a tube of toothpaste. These thieves and murderers and rapists and criminals and gangsters generally are not the most hygienic people to begin with, but that's not what they get arrested for. Laken Riley's killer was arrested for stealing $200 worth of clothes and some food and just a bunch of stuff from Walmart. I don't know any $200 tubes of toothpaste. This is why the talk about the face tattoos is important. This is why even talk about Laken Riley is so important. Not just justice for this one poor girl who was killed by an illegal alien who was in this country because of the soft on crime and open borders policies of Democrats, intentional policies that intentionally put her life at risk and ultimately led to her murder from people like Adam Schiff, who even today after her murder won't vote for common sense laws to deport people who are committing extra crimes in the United States after the basic crime of coming here illegally. You got to put these faces on it because you have to personalize this issue for people. Okay? Left in the abstract, Democrats are just going to make up a bunch of nonsense about little children stealing tubes of toothpaste, which is not happening. It has nothing to do with these laws. These laws are targeting rapists and murderers and face-tattooed gangsters who shouldn't be here in the first place and who people like Adam Schiff and other Democrats are desperate to keep in this country because they think it'll give them an electoral advantage. Now, speaking of painting a picture, I want you to look at these kids. Speaking of kids, this is the New York Magazine cover, the cruel kids table. But just take out the words cruel kids and all this nonsense from New York Magazine. Just look at the picture. What do you see? You see a bunch of good-looking people, nice, good-looking young people wearing tuxedos. Even the guy in the center, he's not only wearing a tuxedo, he's wearing a cummerbund, which I really appreciate. Because I've noticed something recently. People, when they wear their tuxedos, they don't wear the cummerbund anymore, and they look sloppy because of it. Okay, you need to wear a cummerbund, at the very least a waistcoat, but you really shouldn't wear a waistcoat with a tuxedo. It should be you should dress well because it is respectful to other people when you dress well, and it shows respect for yourself. And it shows that you know the occasion. All these young people having fun, because they're not just stodgy and stuffy wearing tuxes. Some have USA hats on. They're drinking little White Claw kind of drinks, little fruity, boozy seltzers. They look great. Now, the one criticism of these kids is that they're all white, which is not totally, some are a little swarthy in the back, but they all basically look white. So is the MAGA movement, it's just a bunch of white supremacists? No, because actually, if you look at the picture, if you look at the full picture, you find out New York Magazine cropped out all the black people. There are a bunch of black people, and brown people, but they perfectly cropped them out of the picture to paint this image. And even then it doesn't work because these young people, when you look at the whole picture, multiracial, multi-ethnic, obviously men and women, they look good. They look normal. They look like they're respectful. They look like they're excited about the future, and they are. This picture was taken at one of the Trump celebrations during the inauguration. I forget. I don't know. It's unclear from the article which celebration this was taken at, but the parties that were listed in the article are parties that I either attended or was invited to but couldn't make it to. So I'm pretty familiar with these people and these events, and they're great. And actually, one of them, the top event in the article, mentions this place Butterworth's, which is this new restaurant and bar in DC. I was just there a couple weeks ago. Kind of funny that they're pretending it's all white people because the bar is owned by Raheem Kassam, my friend, great, conservative figure, but. Same thing. He's part of this whole thing. Young, vibrant, well-dressed, articulate, knows what he thinks. This is the young conservative movement, okay? It's not stuffy and boring and defeatist. It's not radical and sloppy and crazy and anarchistic. It's just orderly and smart and proper and good, and it's just good stuff. And I absolutely love it. Imagine looking at that article. If you're just listening to the show right now, look it up after. I think I've painted a picture with my words, but look it up. Imagine posting that picture and thinking that it's going to make the right look bad. Anyone, I don't care who you are, you look at that picture, you want to be like those guys. And I'll tell you, having gone to these parties like a week ago, it was great. It was awesome. It was way better than standing outside in a pink hat, whining and crying with a bunch of people of ambiguous gender. Okay, it was great. Or hanging out with a bunch of face tattooed criminals, I don't know, looting a Foot Locker. No, that's where you want to be, man. That's where the energy is. That's what's cool. What does New York Mag say? This is what they write. It's easy to see the festivities as an obnoxious victory lap of the MAGA coalition, and of course they are. Conservatism as a cultural force, not just a political condition, is back in a real way for the first time since the 1980s. Oh, let's go, baby. Let's go. Keep going, New York Mag. Here in D.C., among the tourists from Tampa, the donors, and the last politicians Trump whipped into submission, one can also witness the emerging influence of a newer type of conservative. They are not disenfranchised or working class or anti-elite or any of the other adjectives used to describe Trump supporters since 2016. Rather, they are young, imposingly well-connected, urban, and very online. I want this straight into my veins. Can someone get me a needle so I can just put this article? I want to blend up the article in a food processor and just inject it straight into my veins. They go on. Just one last bit. Recounting her time at one of the balls, a woman tells me she jumped the velvet rope in the VIP section like a little Mexican. I just was not terribly offensive, just a little joke. Then she lets out a cackle. This is the posture that has attracted newcomers to the cause. 6 months into Biden being president, I was like, I can't effing do this anymore, says a 19-year-old New Yorker who once quite literally had blue hair and attends Marymount Manhattan, which he describes as 75% women and 23%. He had supported Biden, but, quote, I hate watching the things I say. I took a much farther horseshoe around this time. Later, a former Bernie supporter who looked like the most Bernie-supporting person one could imagine, with long curly hair and a plaid shirt, told me the same. He wanted the freedom to say, quote, end quote. Okay, all right. Now, I like to use nice language and not nasty language. But notice here, he just wants to say it. This is the thing I've noticed about conservatives. You want to say, look at the word, for instance. The right wants to be able to say the word. The left wants to murder people in the womb. Who's more compassionate? Who's the nicer person? Yes, I'll say the word and I'll defend people. You clutch your pearls at the word, but you want to murder them in the womb. You want to take tests to see if they will be and then murder them. Who's better? Who's got the better political vision? No question about it. You think Trump is going to toss LGB identifying people off the rooftop? No. But we're going to make little jokes, okay? It's okay. To quote President Trump, it's called we do a little trolling. We do a little trolling. I absolutely love it. Now, speaking of America, there's a new Captain America interview out with the new Captain America. Listen to what this guy has to say.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of, this is kind of like a an aspect of a dream coming true. You know, when I was a kid, you know, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no, there are no dragons, that's not a sword, and that princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed. So, you know, as an actor, I feel like our job is to get back to the day where we see that dragon and we slay that dragon to save that princess. And that's kind of what this movie was for me.
Okay, whatever nonsense he was talking about there at the end, did you catch the parts at the top? He goes, yeah, I don't think Captain America is about America. No, I think it is. It reminds me of the Ben Shapiro video when he's explaining why girls shouldn't be in the Boy Scouts. And some gal at a college says, well, where does it say that? And he says, it's in the name Boy Scouts. I think Captain America does have something to do with America. You know, it's in the name Captain America. I don't watch these movies generally, but Jeremy dragged me out to go see Avengers Endgame. It was me, our producer Jonathan Hay, and Jeremy. And we go, and I remember in that movie, at the end, Captain America gives over the role of Captain America to some random black guy. And there was clearly a racial narrative here, which is, okay, we white people had our turn. Now it's your turn. I think that was even the line. Now it's your turn. But it wasn't motivated really by anything in the story. It was just some random black guy. It didn't even really fit into the story. He goes, but anyway, you're a black guy, I'm a white guy, so now it's your turn. You're going to be DEI Captain America. Here you go. Because, I don't know, my skin's not dark enough. Yours is. Here you go. You're Captain America now. And what is the first thing Marvel does when they make the black guy Captain America? They say it's not about America anymore. No, man. This never had a chance. This has a huge budget, by the way. There are conflicting reports on what the budget is, but some argued the budget was almost $350 million. Some think it's less, under $200 million. In any case, really, really expensive and really bad timing because the American people, white guys, black guys, Hispanic guys, just voted to get rid of DEI and all of this nonsense. And they just voted to support America. Yet, on the national question, you had a choice in this election between America, nationalism, and globalism. And the people overwhelmingly voted for America and the nation. And then they get the DEI Captain America comes out and he says, yeah, forget about America. Captain America has nothing to do with America. Okay, cool, man. Let's see how that does at the box office. Can't wait to check it out. It's no secret. The legacy media are collapsing. Why? Because Americans are waking up. They're tired of being lied to, tired of the spin, tired of the narratives. At the Daily Wire, we don't tell stories. We show you the truth. From investigative reporting to fearless commentary, we bring you facts straight to your eyeballs and your ears. It does not stop there. We're making movies, documentaries, series that challenge the left-wing Hollywood agenda and reshape the culture, but we can't do it without you. We need your support to keep growing, to keep fighting. Now's the time to join the fight. Go to dailywire.com/subscribe. Become a member today. My favorite comment yesterday is from Angel87, who writes, as a Colombian who loves her country, I agree with Trump. So true. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that. This is what the libs think. They think, oh, Trump's picking a fight with the socialist president of Colombia because he won't take the criminals back. Oh, that's going to anger the Colombians. No, it's not. It's going to anger the lunatic Colombians. But the good, normal, patriotic, serious Colombians, they're going to be on board. And this is true across the board. The New York Magazine article trying to suggest that this is the cruel kids club because they support Trump, trying to paint this ridiculous picture that it's all white people. I don't know. 46% of Hispanics voted for Trump. 1 in 5 black guys, which doesn't seem like a lot, except compared to previous elections. It's a monumental leap forward to the right for conservatives, for black people with the conservatives. I don't know, man. I don't think, even on the LGBT, because conservatives ran against specifically transgenderism in this election to great electoral success. I know plenty of guys who have eccentric sexual views and behaviors, but they're not LGBT activists, okay? They don't dye their hair crazy colors. They don't make a big deal about it. It's not their whole identity. Even those guys, they're coming on over, all right? They can see that there have been such excesses of the pride movement, of the LGBT, DEI, LMNOP craziness, okay? Yeah, I don't know, libs. Libs just keep trying to press the same button for the same old strategy. It's not working. Something fundamentally has shifted in the politics. Now, speaking of the youths, very disturbing story, we were told, out of Metro UK, saying that British young people are ready to embrace dictatorship. Is that true? What does the story say? More than half of people aged 13 to 27 in the UK believe, quote, the UK would be a better place if a strong leader was in charge who does not have to bother with parliament and elections, according to the Times. Okay. So first of all, that doesn't necessarily mean they support a dictator, especially not in the UK. I don't know if you guys are history buffs or if you know much about geopolitics, but the UK has something called a monarchy. And still, today, actually. Now, the monarchy has been weakened since the days of James I, Charles I, Charles II, and James II of blessed memory, the latter. But Charles II, he did dissolve Parliament, didn't he, gentlemen? Go home. And with good reason, by the way. So I don't know. That doesn't say, it's not like they're calling for Hitler or something like that, is it? Now, a third agree the country would be better off if the army was in charge, and almost half think that the entire way our society is organized must be radically changed through revolution. Okay, I don't like that. Young people are really into revolution. I'm not that into revolution. We like evolution, not revolution, we conservatives. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But in any case, what does this represent? It represents in part the radicalism of youth. Youth just tend to be more radical than older people who kind of mellow over time. But also what it represents. It's not just an error of thinking among the young people. It's not just Principal Skinner. Am I out of touch? No, the young people must be wrong. No, what it represents is a failure of the current system to respond to needs. Because our current system, which we are told is a democracy and is so wonderful, is not really a democracy. It actually wasn't intended to be a democracy, but then our current system of government, here or in the UK, is neither a democracy nor really the system that it was supposed to be. This happens. The desire for a strong man to come around and clean things up is not some aberration. It's not the fault of fascism or communism or some moral failing of the people who feel this way. This is a part of the natural cycle of regimes that has been attested to since Polybius in antiquity. This is part of what is called anacyclosis, the notion that you have a monarchy. There's a monarchy, and then that decays into a tyranny when the monarch stops ruling for the common good and starts ruling for his own self-interest and his own private aggrandizement. Well, when that happens, according to the cycle of regimes, an aristocracy takes over. The aristocracy pulls the power back from this corrupt tyrant and rules with a bunch of elites, but for the common good, aristos, meaning good. Then the aristocracy decays into an oligarchy, which governs not for the common good, but for private interest. And that is when you have a democratic revolution. And then the people rule for the common good. But then that decays too. That can decay into mob rule. And then a strong man comes back and takes power. This is the classic cycle of regimes. Our founding fathers knew this. John Adams wrote about this specifically in an essay on man's lust for power. The founding fathers wrote about it elsewhere, and the framers wrote about it elsewhere. But John Adams writes about it really specifically. So what our founding fathers tried to do, and our framers tried to do, was create a system that would escape the cycle of regimes. And they modeled this, wittingly or unwittingly, on the political philosophy of St. Thomas Aquinas, who in the Summa Theologiae writes that the perfect regime is a mixed regime. It's got elements of monarchy and aristocracy and democracy all mixed together. That is what our founders gave us. Sometimes you hear a conservative say, we don't have a democracy, we have a republic. It's actually even deeper than that. We don't even really have a republic, according to our founders and framers. We have this mixed regime. Sure, Ben Franklin will say, we gave you a republic if you can keep it, but there's more to it. The presidency has a lot of the power and trappings of a monarch. The Senate has a lot of the power and trappings, or at least it used to, before the 17th Amendment, of an aristocracy. The House of Representatives has a lot of the trappings and power of a democracy. The judiciary has a lot of trappings and power actually of a monarchy because it preserves tradition against the changing whims of the people. So it's a mixed regime. That's what it's supposed to be. But even that mixed regime can become corrupted. It's been good so far, largely. Even in the UK, which has a kind of a mixed regime, when the people continue to vote for something and they don't get what they want, and when the thing they're voting for is perfectly in keeping with their legal traditions, with the rule of law, and they don't get it because the ruling elite just won't give it to them, they're going to look for alternatives. They're going to say, this system is not working. This system is not what it says it is. So the Brits vote for the Brexit, and they don't really get the Brexit. They vote for Boris Johnson because he's going to limit immigration, and then immigration goes up. At a certain point, they're going to say, all right, well, this system doesn't work for us. You see this here, especially with migration in America. You vote for George Bush because you want to close off the border, and then you get these amnesty deals being proposed. You vote for Obama because Obama says, I'm going to deport people, seal up the border. Then you get a lot of mass migration. You vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump tries to build a wall, tries to seal up the border. He's undermined by the bureaucracy. You say, oh, I guess our system just doesn't really work. It's not really a democracy. It's not really a republic. It's not even really the functioning mixed regime that we were promised by our framers. Okay, I guess the cycle of regimes is kicking back in again. I guess human nature is returning. That's the fear. You want to avoid that? I think Thomas Aquinas, obviously, is a very smart guy. I think our founders and framers were very smart guys. But if you want to escape that cycle, if you don't want a strongman to rise up, well, then how about you defend our robust system, our mixed regime? The libs don't want to do that. Now, speaking of dictatorships, colossal news story that is not really being discussed all that much in podcasts and in the media, but it's a really important one. China has just unleashed on the world a huge advance in artificial intelligence. And it's done so, apparently, for much less money than all of Silicon Valley has been investing into AI. So coincidentally, I was watching Oppenheimer on a flight back from Los Angeles when this news came in of this Sputnik moment, of this big breakthrough, when China unleashes this AI, which wipes almost $1 trillion off of global markets. It's this app called DeepSeek, which hit the top of Western app downloads on Monday. The Silicon Valley companies have been crushed. NVIDIA, which is the semiconductor company, one of the most valuable companies in the world, actually the most valuable company in the world, big in AI, lost more than $600 billion in the biggest one-day loss of value for a single company in history. David Sachs, who I just ran into at the inauguration, President Trump's AI czar, said after this technology was released, quote, the AI race will be very competitive. I am confident in the US, but we can't be complacent, okay? Huge, huge moment. Even for myself, when I'm doing research, I am now relying more on AI than on Google. I'm not relying on AI to write things for me, certainly not. I'm not relying on AI, even in the sense that I trust what it's giving me. But I'll say, hey, find me X number of studies. Hey, find me these quotes from these kinds of books. And give me the sources so that I can go check it myself, because AI sometimes lies. But I'm now increasingly going to AI first. Because Google, it's just that. It's just a worse version of that. I mean, Google search is getting crushed right now. You think Google is impregnable. Google is going to be the colossus forever. I don't know. Not if this technology continues to improve. And it does make me wonder, how did Trump manage to win? I think through providence, through his head turning at the right angle at the right time, implausibly in Pennsylvania, through this cultural shift. There's all of that. Why did the big corporations, why did big tech in particular, not fight him as hard this time? In 2020, Mark Zuckerberg said, I will invest hundreds of millions of dollars. I will invest so much money to defeat Donald Trump. Funding groups that controlled ballot drop boxes. He was really pushing a lot of levers for this. Why didn't he do that this time? And now that Trump won, they're all kissing the ring. I wonder if it's in part because they're recognizing that geopolitics has changed, and the weakness from the Democrats and the obsessive focus on social radicalism from the Democrats are not going to help us as we're in a major technology race, an arms race with China. That maybe we can't give up all of our energy for solar-powered nonsense and windmills. That maybe we can't have DEI at all of our biggest companies so that we fall behind real serious countries who really want to win this competition, like China, who seem to be doing so for much less money. Maybe there was, at least in the back of the minds of our establishment, a recognition that, we got to get a little serious. And when you want to get serious, paradoxically, you actually need Trump. You can't have this ridiculous woman, Kamala Harris, and you can't have this half-cadaver Joe Biden running the country. Maybe that was there. Because we're all focusing on the big cultural shift. I think that's real. We're all focusing on the role of parents and of certain racial minorities and of even just regular old white guys, standing up, pulling out their Zyn pouches and saying, we're not going to be pushed around anymore. Everyone's focusing on the role of this ideology or this issue or inflation. Yeah, okay, that's all true. But maybe that missing part that no one's talking about is we are in a major arms race with a rising power challenging, for the first time seriously, American hegemony in half a century. And maybe even the rich elite people realized, yikes, we got to get back to basics, got to get serious. And that's what Trump is doing. Today is Tee Tuesday. The rest of the show continues now. You do not want to miss it. Become a member. Use code Knowles, KNWLAS at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans.